Hello guys and welcome back to Custom Gamer. My name is Daz and this is the show where we talk about level design while playing cool maps. Today we're having another look at the Honey map jam. This is RickyT23's entry called Yellow Brick Grotto. It's a map with a really interesting beginning and a really interesting end, with a little bit of filler in the middle, I have to say. But it's definitely worth looking at just for the intro and the exit, which have some really cool ideas in them, which I'm going to talk a lot about in this video. Aside from that, the level is fairly unremarkable, so let's just go into it, shall we? Okay, so let's talk quite a bit about the intro here, because it's one of the most interesting parts of the level. You're given a quad damage right at the very start. And the level kind of revolves around what you do while you have this quad damage at the beginning, how many enemies you can kill, how much of the level you can get around to clear it. It kind of designates the difficulty of the entire next area, which I think is a really nice idea. There's something about, you know, meaningful choice in a Quake map, which typically doesn't really exist. So if you kind of mess around with the quad damage here and don't clear out enough of these enemies, you're going to make it very tough for yourself, because there's a lot of them in this area. I think it's a really cool idea. I think it can be implemented better. It feels like very kind of rudimentary implementation in this map, but the idea itself is a very good one. And you can kind of replace the quad damage with any power up really. So you could have, you know, invulnerability or a ring, whatever you like really. But the idea works no matter what power up you give the player. So I think it's a really cool idea. This area itself revolves around finding 3 buttons to open up the silver key area. Just about to do here. Again, going back to the whole quad damage thing, I think the area would work better if there really was a lot of enemies and it becomes very difficult to actually progress if you kind of mess around with your quad damage and kind of waste it almost, you know? So that is the intro of the map. Now the map kind of falls into a little bit of a lull, I think. It's just walking through some areas, killing some monsters. Pretty standard Quake gameplay, I guess. It's not bad, but considering the strength of the intro and the strength of the outro, it just doesn't really stand out. Now Ricky has been making Quake maps for quite a long time. He's got quite a few releases under his belt by this point. Funnily enough, I haven't actually done any of them on the channel. Just haven't got around to it, I guess. But a couple of his maps have been quite interesting to play through. I'll have to do a couple more of them. Now the map is called Yellow Brick Grotto, and it's definitely a lot of yellow brick in the map. I think visually the lighting is quite nice, but the visuals certainly don't stand up to some of the other maps in the back. It's fairly basic. But I do like the kind of light pillars on the walls. There's some nice hot spots of light and things like that. Some of these outdoor areas here, it's just giant monolithic blocks of architecture. I mean, while you can argue that's what Quake's about, I think it could use a lot more detail here. It's just brick everywhere. Some more texture variation at least would have done wonders here, I think. And now, the level's quite short. We're getting into the outro now. And it's got some nice presentation. So you have to walk up this linear corridor here and you're given a little bit of background as to what's about to happen in the form of on-screen text. Which is basically the only option you have in Quake for delivering story like that. So you have to kill 10 shamblers, and these shamblers are spread out in almost like a deathmatch arena style thing where, as a player, you have choice. So you can go left, you can go right, you can go forwards, and depending on which way you go first you can pick up different power-ups, different items, different ammo. So it's quite well thought out, although I think it still could be done a little bit better. For instance, the shamblers are all standing out in the open like this, and I like the intro shambler here, not seeing the player, that's cool. But aside from that, the shamblers are just kind of standing around in areas. There are a couple of shamblers that have kind of other enemies around them as well, which is nice, but a lot of the shamblers you can just kind of shambler dance them to death. Takes away a lot of the challenge, I think. I suppose the other option is like having each shambler encounter be its own like little mini arena, or you know, have some kind of gameplay centered around it. I think if you did that you'd have to just have less shamblers overall. Interestingly here you can look back down to the very start of the level. That's the area we ran up with the quad damage at the very beginning. Unfortunately, if you drop down there, there's no kind of shortcut back up to the Shambler Arena at the top. You have to walk through the entire level again, unless I completely missed something. But yeah, I think a teleporter that opens up if you fall down there would be really, really nice. Because it's a real pain just walking through an empty level to get back here. You can see here, it's structured very, very non-linearly, this area. If that's even a word, I don't know. You just have to walk around and find all these different Shamblers to kill them. It's a neat idea, and again, you can replace Shamblers with pretty much any other enemy. And depending on the level design you use it, I think it could be a really interesting idea. I mean, it's been done in other Quake maps, you know, kill X enemies to open whatever. But I think it's gone a next level up, where you have to find only Shamblers, and there's 10 of them. And it's set up in quite an interesting way. But yeah, I just think each Shambler encounter should be something a little bit different and special, rather than just having Shamblers scattered around an arena like this. I think you could have some extra gameplay to kind of intro each one, or, you know, something like that. I really like the idea. You just have to walk around and find the rest of these guys. Now, there is only one secret in the map also, but it's coming up in a moment here. So this is something I always moan about in Quake maps, like secrets are like the bread and butter of exploration in Quake, so if you're missing secrets, then that's really, really bad. Only having one secret in the map feels like there should have been a couple more, especially from a map this size. I felt like 2 or 3 would be like a good number, I guess. You know, it's always kind of hard to lock down how many secrets should be in a map, but I think 1 is not enough for any size map, really. Grab a quad. Unfortunately, I've killed most of the Shamblers already, so don't get full work out of this quad damage, but it certainly makes the entire encounter easier. Yeah, this is quite an interesting map to look at. I think it's got some really nice ideas in it. The quad run at the beginning is really cool, and the kill 10 Shamblers mechanic at the end is cool as well. It'd be really interesting to see if other authors kind of use this in different ways. But I hope they do. I think the idea's got a lot of legs on it. Alright guys, we've almost finished Jam 1. Then I've got most of Jam 2 to do as well. I think it was a mistake to do videos of every single map in Jam 1. There's just too many, it's taken way too long. So I think in Jam 2 I'm just going to do all the good maps, which is still most of them, let's be honest. But hey, we'll get there in the end. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.